say how you feel, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to go to prison for it. Hey guys, I'm David DiMuzio.
I'm Rachel Hemphill.
I was born and raised in the US, but I've spent a lot of the last 10 years living in and visiting the Philippines.
So I was also born and raised in the States. My mom is Filipino and my dad is American. I moved here about 1 year ago, and I've kind of noticed a lot of things that I really love here compared to the US.
So today, Rachel and I have compiled our top 12 things that we like better about the Philippines compared to the US. And they're going to kind of progressively get more important as we go. But I'll start with a pretty simple thing, and that is the music in taxis. I have discovered so much music that I love in taxis in the Philippines. People ask me where I get my ideas for my Filipino song covers that I do on YouTube. And it's actually in taxis. I hear different Filipino songs come up, and actually a lot of American songs. One of, for instance, the songs that I now love that I never heard in the US is the song For the First Time by Kenny Loggins. I never heard it in the US, even though he's an American artist. Also, Honesty by Harum Scarum is one of my favorite songs, and I never heard that except in the Philippines.
The first thing I've noticed since I've been here is when I go out to eat at restaurants, specifically Filipino restaurants, everyone orders family style. So what that means is we order like 5 or 6 dishes and then everyone just shares that. But in the US, it's not common to do that. So if you go to a restaurant in the US, you get the menu, you pick what you want, and then when the food comes, you just eat that. But like no one's really supposed to like eat your food. Yeah. But even when you're just out with friends, it doesn't even have to be family. But like it's just so nice that you're sharing. It's just a different kind of vibe rather than just being like kind of closed off, and I don't know, it's different. But
I totally agree. I think that the way you eat also relates to a lot of other things in the culture. So the number 3 thing is that the Philippines is a lot less Sioux happy than the US. And I really like the vibe that that brings to everything. There's a lot more freedom, honestly, that I feel on a day-to-day basis in the Philippines because of that lack of worry about somebody is going to sue you. To give you an example, we just went outside and we're shooting a music video, and we just hired some random dude's scooter, paid him 200 pesos, and like
you could never do that in the US. No one would ever.
No, people would be so worried that you would get hurt and sue them. And so I think that there's like this sort of Wild West feeling to the Philippines in like a less Sioux happy environment. And I love that.
The 4th thing that I've noticed since being here is that people are much friendlier to me compared to when I'm in the US. I have a little bit of a Filipino look, so maybe they gravitate towards that. But it's just so easy for me to talk to people here and meet new people and make friends. Like everyone seems to be so friendly to me.
Yeah, I think generally Filipinos are more friendly to foreigners than Americans are to foreigners. So for instance, if you're a random dude from Zimbabwe or whatever, and you like go to a party in the US, like a barbecue, and you're like the dude from Zimbabwe who just visited, I don't think people would really go out of their way to talk to you. They'd just be like, oh yeah, that's the dude from Zimbabwe who's here. Versus like here, I feel like people would go up to that guy and go, oh, where are you from? You're from Zimbabwe? Like, oh, what's it like there? Why did you visit the Philippines? They'd be a lot more interested in you as a foreigner and why you're there. There's much more friendliness in that way.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5 is one that Rachel has not yet discovered, but I told her about it, and I think she's going to be very happy now. And that is 50% off bake sales at closings at bakeries in the Philippines. In the US, there are no 50% bake sales at closings. I've never come across one, at least in my entire life. But at most of the bakeries in the Philippines, especially a lot of high-end bakeries with delicious baked goods, at closing, usually about an hour before, they have a 50% off sale where they put just about everything in the entire store at 50% off, and it's so cheap and delicious. So I would go and just load up with like a giant bag of baked goods and eat that for the rest of the week.
Yeah, see, I've been here for almost 1 year, and I've never heard of that in my entire life. Like, I love bread, I love desserts, I love cakes, like, all that stuff, and I've never seen, like, a 50% bake sale.
Yeah.
That's really crazy to me, because they would never do anything like that in the States, unless all the food was, like, really old or just about to expire. Like,
exactly.
You don't see that. So Now that I know that, I definitely have to go and check that out. So number 6 is surprising to me, but it's that some chain restaurants from America are much, much better in the Philippines. So for example, I love Chili's, the restaurant, and in America we would go all the time, but it started to just go really downhill. The food wasn't good, the service wasn't good. But then I came here and it was like the service was so amazing. People were so friendly, so attentive. And then you got your food quick, it was hot, you could tell everything was fresh. Like, it really surprised me because you would think that if it's a chain restaurant, it should just be exactly how it is in the US. But here it's like 100 times better.
Yeah, so another one for me that's the same is actually Starbucks. So in the US, I rarely go to Starbucks, and I definitely would never go to Starbucks to eat a meal. I would never think about having my lunch at Starbucks, right? But here in the Philippines, I eat at Starbucks almost every other day. The food at Starbucks is awesome, and it's all different. It's actually Filipino-related food at Starbucks. So one of my favorite desserts in the world is banoffee, and Starbucks has awesome banoffee, which is also a Filipino dish. Starbucks in the Philippines is much better. And it's actually run by a Filipino company. It's not run by Starbucks America. So that's why Starbucks in the Philippines, way better. Number 7, fairly obvious if you've had them, and that is mangoes. Mangoes in the US are not even particularly good, and here they're absolutely delicious. I could eat them every single day at every meal.
And in the US, they're actually very hard to find. Okay, the 8th thing for me is movie theaters. If you've ever been to the States and gone to a movie theater, you'll probably know that it's really expensive and you can't buy snacks because they're really expensive. Just for a box of popcorn is literally $10. For a drink, that's $5, so that's already almost 1,000 pesos, like, gone.
Wow.
Just for snacks. Like, people always have to sneak in snacks, whether it's in your purse or like in your jacket.
Like gummies in your pocket.
Yeah, but here in the Philippines, movie tickets are really cheap, and the food and the popcorn and everything is really cheap, and you don't even have to buy it at the movie theater. You can walk in with literally whatever you want, and they don't care. Here, I love the movie theaters.
I go to way more movies when I'm in the Philippines.
For sure.
Did you ever notice that some movies come out here first as well?
I did notice that,
like
actually.
A lot of movies come out here first.
Yeah. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, and all my friends in the States were like, what, you already saw it? Like, it came out, I think it was just one day earlier.
Oh, okay.
But I don't understand why. I'm sure there's some reason.
Well, we are a day ahead here. So
But
it could be that.
Maybe.
But a lot of movies do come out even like a few days earlier here. Number 9 is the opportunity to help people in really small ways that still has a significant effect on them. And I'm not going to talk about this to brag at all. This is something that makes me happy. I find that there are a lot of ways to help people in the Philippines that make me feel really good and also really helps them. And it doesn't cost a lot, and it's not difficult to find. So in the US, for instance, if I was to go up to someone on the street who had like a difficult job, a street cleaner or something like that, and hand them $20, it really would make no difference, and they'd almost be like, why are you giving me $20? Like, it's nothing. But here in the Philippines, because there are so many homeless people and so many people in difficult positions, I actually give out a lot of cash on the street. It just makes me feel good. So almost every single day, when I'm walking somewhere, I'll see a person that's working on, a lot of times it's recycling, and they're digging through the trash and they're finding the bottles to be able to recycle them and have money. And so I'll have 1,000 pesos in my pocket, which again is only like $20, but I'll just give them the 1,000 pesos and their face lights up and you can tell that it's instantly made a difference in their life, and it makes me feel good, and it's just fun to be able to like help somebody so easily. And I do the same with a lot of kids on the street. I don't give money to beggars on the street because I feel like there's a lot of corruption and things sometimes in that. But I will find kids on the street and I'll just take them to restaurants. So a lot of times I'll go have a meal at a nice restaurant myself, and then I'll just walk out of the restaurant, look for some kids, and then just bring them to the restaurant and buy them the same meal. And it's really fun.
Number 10 is the opportunity to make and create deep and meaningful friendships. So I've only been here for less than a year, And I've already made an unbelievable amount of friends, and they're all so close to me, and they know pretty much everything about me in such a short amount of time, like compared to my friends in Colorado, who I absolutely love and cherish, but like I've known those people my whole life, and it feels like since I've moved here, I've already known these people my whole life, and it's just that easy and that quick.
Same for me. I have just as many close friends, like lifelong friends, here in the Philippines as I do in the US. And I only lived in the Philippines for about 2.5 years, and I lived in the US, most of my life. People are a little bit more open to allowing you to be a good friend of theirs, and they're like looking for good friends. Versus in the US, it's like you find like a new good friend every couple of years, maybe.
I think a lot of people here really cherish companionship and having new experiences and meeting new people. A lot of people in the US don't really, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but some people just don't really think that way. They're okay with where they are, and they're okay with who they're around.
Yeah.
So they don't feel the need to like, I guess, branch out, which sounds kind of bad, but...
Yeah, I think it's true. Number 11 is cover bands here are in general way better. So everybody around the world knows that Filipinos are possibly the world's best singers per capita. I mean, there's just ridiculous amounts of great singers. And it is not uncommon at all to walk into a bar or club here and hear them belting out a Journey song and it's literally sounding just like Journey. And that's something that's really difficult to pull off.
Number 12, this more applies to me, I think, but the drinking age and the nightlife and the night scene here in Manila. So in the US, you cannot drink or go out to clubs until you are 21. So for me, I'm 18, so being here in the Philippines where the drinking age is 18, it's 18, so I can go out, I can drink with friends, I can go to the clubs, which I don't do so often, but it's really fun, and compared to the States, you can't really do that. And also when you do go out to the clubs in the States, they all close around 2 a.m., 1 a.m., but here in Manila, it's kind of like the city that never sleeps of Asia. People party until 5, 6 a.m. and maybe that's not necessarily the best thing, but it is what makes the Philippines a little bit different and a little bit more fun than the US.
So Rachel and I had an extra 2 bonus things that we wanted to add. And you're probably thinking, why didn't this already make the list? But we just figured that it was so obvious. And that is, number 1, the beaches. The beaches here, just...
so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's no comparison to America.
Literally no comparison.
What's your favorite beaches?
Oh,
Well,
I mean, they're all
I
really
haven't
nice.
been to too many places, but I did go to Siargao, and that is literally unreal. Like,
Wow.
you won't find a place like that anywhere in the States. And I know you can't really compare because we're on an island, and that's why it's kind of obvious. But so beautiful. Everywhere I go is so beautiful.
I do think that the Philippines has the best beaches in the world. And I've been to Thailand, to Hawaii, to Australia, to all of the other places,
Hawaii?
Mauritius, everywhere that's got nice beaches. The Caribbean, I've been all over. And to me, the Philippines has the best beaches in the world.
Yeah, I used to always want to go. I beg my parents, let's go to Hawaii. Like, why do you want to go to Hawaii? It's the same as the Philippines.
Yes.
I just never understood, but after being here and really seeing the beaches, it is so amazing. And I don't think anything else could compare.
And the last one that we're going to throw out there, again, quite obvious. We didn't want to add this to the top 12, but it's just in general true. And that is a lot of things are way cheaper in the Philippines. There are certain things that are more expensive, but on sort of like a day-to-day basis.
Basic things that you need.
Yeah, especially if you're vacationing. There's very little that when you're on vacation here that wouldn't be cheaper. Hotel rooms, the hotel we're in right now is it's in a great location, tons of restaurants around. It's $18 for tonight,
$18.
Yeah.
And it's so clean and it's so nice. In the States, you pay $18 for a hotel room and you need to sleep with a gun next to you.
Yeah. You'll be sharing a bed in prison. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. Please click the notification bell if you'd like to get notified when we upload our next videos. Rachel and I just finished a music video together for the song Little Red Corvette. It's a cover of the Prince song, also featuring Sam Mangobat and Isabel De Leon. So yeah, check that out, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
We'd love to know if there's anything else besides those top 12 or 14 that you feel like you like better about the Philippines.